Hello, this is day 3. Like I said, things they seem alright. I felt a little form of attack coming on last night, but I kind of said in my head, you know what this is, deal with it. It kept trying to come up one or two times during the night, but it dissipated and went away. I suppose today I'll talk about the reason why I developed anxiety. I've got like 3 or 4 bullet points where I think it started. First off, about 3 years ago, my granddad had a stroke, and it just completely took away the man that he was. I was very close to my granddad. I spent a year and a bit going to see him in hospital and everything, just watching him slowly rot away in front of me. When he actually died, the day of the funeral, my wife was actually working away, so I went on my own. And everyone else was crying and grieving. I couldn't bring myself to do it. Everyone was consoling each other. I was stood there on my own. I'd never actually dealt with the grief. I just buried it in the deepest, darkest pits of up there. I never dealt with the grief. Obviously, I got upset on his birthday, but I never actually dealt with it. And according to my doctor, that's a really underlying factor to why this has developed. There's a couple of other reasons. During this time, when he first had the stroke and it hit me really hard, my wife was actually working away, and I did the worst thing possible. I sought solace in another. Obviously, my wife found out we split up, which was understandable. I could never actually forgive myself for what I did. I've got no excuses. I'm making no excuses. It was the worst thing I ever did, and I've never forgiven myself. I still don't forgive myself to this day. But my wife took me back. We worked out, and we were back on track. I've never actually forgiven myself for what I've done, and because I've built that up as well, that's contributed with the grief, and that's another reason that's brought on this funfair. Another reason, about a year and a half ago, I was working as a contracts manager for a trading company, and it was a lot of stress. The company wasn't run well before I took up my position. There was a lot of problems with payment. I used to take the brunt of it because I'd always be in the office. I'd have people coming in crying that they hadn't been paid and tell me they were getting evicted. And at the time, I didn't think that was taking its toll on me, but it was. There were sometime last year, I was actually sat on my couch after work, and I had countless phone calls, people coming in saying they're going to get evicted, they're not getting paid. And all of a sudden, I felt like a change. I thought it was my heart, because I suddenly felt all disjointed. Little did I know that was my first ever panic attack. Obviously, these have got worse over the past year and a half, to the point where I've been to the doctor. And then when I spoke to the doctor, we've gone through everything. Because I've never dealt with anything, I've never spoken about my granddad's death, I've never been able to forgive myself for what I did to my wife, the work pressures, everything's come to a head. And obviously it's full-blown anxiety. I'm not trying to get people to feel sorry for me, because I don't want sympathy. This isn't a woe me video or pity me. This is just me being 100% transparent, explaining the reasons why I developed anxiety. It can manifest in different ways, like with grief. If you don't deal with it, men particularly don't deal with grief well. I'm probably the worst one for it. I bury things deep, and then it comes back like this. Really, I should have dealt with it head on, because I usually deal with everything head on, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. It can be anything that triggers anxiety, depression. You could not think that things are affecting you, but deep in the darkest section of your mind, things will build up, and then you'll end up in my position. I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm a grown man. This is just another hurdle to deal with in the thing that's called life. For people that do get it, like I said, there's two forms of treatment. There is the tablet treatment, which I researched for about a day, and then decided that the tablets really aren't for me. Don't get me wrong, tablets are probably one of the most successful ways to treat any sort of depression. But my underlying feeling is I don't want my kids to see me sort of like zoned out. I don't want to be distant from my kids. My kids are the best thing I've ever done. They're the only thing I've ever done right. So the last thing I want is to take these tablets and be like a stranger. And then the other fact is that I don't like the idea when you come off the tablets. Knowing me, I probably think I'm not cured, and I'll probably try and stay on them as long as I could. So, as I said, we've gone for the therapy option. There's a lot of things that you can do. Like I said, positive changes to your life if you're suddenly diagnosed with it. The worst thing you can do is probably lock yourself away and feel like a freak. I felt a little bit like that on Tuesday, all the way up until Wednesday when I woke up and I thought, you know what, it is what it is. I'll deal with it. I can only give it my best shot, which I think it's going to be hard, but it's doable. I mean, when you research it and you look at people's attitudes towards it, it does put you back a little bit. It does make you think, whoa, am I now officially a nut job? Are people going to look at me and go, oh, don't go near him, he's mentally ill or something? But they probably won't, but I'm not going to give people a chance. As I said in previous videos, there's only a couple of people that know. I think I'd rather keep it that way. I've got a good support structure in place. As I said, I've got my wife. I've got my kids that sometimes are a pain in the backside, but they're my kids and it's something to focus on. And obviously I've got the counselling coming up. A lot of people might not have things in place, which then you seriously need to get onto the crisis helpline if you live in the UK and just speak to someone. It's not ideal, my position, being struck down with this. It's not something I would have ever thought of. To be honest, when I was younger, I always thought I'd be dead by 30. Believe me, I tried. Life's funny. It'll bring up hurdles that you didn't even know existed. I'm kind of grateful that this has happened, because it gives me a chance to go and see someone and actually deal with stuff. I've never really dealt with the emotional side of life very well. I've always just buried it. I'm not proud of that. I'm not proud of a few things I've done in my life, but life's life. We make mistakes, we learn, we move on. If you don't learn from your mistakes, then that's your problem. I've learned from my mistakes, I've moved on. Hopefully I've improved as a person over the years. Do you know what? It doesn't matter what people think about you in life. What matters is what the people closest think to you. I don't care what people out there think about me. It's what my family thinks about me. It's what my wife and my kids think about me. And hopefully I'm a good person. I never used to be, but I am now. Like I said, life's weird. It'll throw a spanner in the works when you're least expecting it. I mean, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been heart failure. It could have been this, but it was anxiety all along. I think that's the main thing to worry about. What I would say to anyone is, if you have got a mental health problem, anything, stress, whatever, try and get yourself out into the middle of, like, just go for a walk, go in a big field on your own and scream at the top of your voice. Get a piece of paper, write a list down what makes you happy and what doesn't. Focus on what makes you happy. Do like a checklist. Top 10 things that make you happy, top 10 things that make you sad, and try and focus on those top 10 that make you happy and try and eliminate the top 10 that make you sad. It does work. I did it yesterday, and I couldn't think of top 10 things that put me down. There was only like 3 or 4, but that's just life. It's a funny thing. Anyway, I'll keep you updated. Obviously it's the weekend coming up, Christmas decorations, yay! So I might not do another vid until Monday. I'll try and do one on my phone over the weekend, but it's hard when I've got the kids running about, because obviously the kids don't know what's going on, and I prefer to keep it that way. But if anyone ever watches one of these videos, my main message is, if you are like me and you're suffering, get help. You're not on your own, and it's not that you're weak. If you know someone that's suffering with it, just be a bit more accepting. Don't tell them to get the shit together, because that's the worst thing you can say. Or you're over exaggerating, you're making it worse. This is not someone's choice. Let's try and be more accepting of everyone. Life's amazing, isn't it? Speak to you all soon.